All right, fellow Toastmasters, 2468. Who do we appreciate? Teachers. Everyone loves a teacher except the mischievous 10-year-old. And that was me in the fourth grade. I went to a private school where all the hoity-toity kids went. The kids from doctors and dentists and lawyers and rich grandparents. How did I end up at that school? What was called a hardship scholarship. The church that I went to had a certain set of funds available for kids who were financially destitute. And I was a foster child. My parents had very little money. We lived on the wrong side of the tracks. That's how I got into this school, this high-end private school. And there was another student there, Ricky McCoy. He was being raised by a single mother. The father had ran off with another woman. Poor Ricky, the church felt bad for him, and they had some funds for him as well. Of course, Ricky and I became best friends, and we could not wait to get into mischief. Now, our fourth grade teacher was Mrs. Bissett, but we didn't call her Mrs. Bissett. We called her Old Bitty Batty Bissett. She had probably come over on the wagon train. She did not have a whip, but she had a red rubber hose, and she had a temper. Now, Mrs. Bissett had some type of intestinal issue. Maybe she was lactose intolerant. We don't really know, but quite often she had to make very quick trips to the restroom. Now, there was a private bathroom there in our third and fourth grade classroom, but it was only for Mrs. Bissett. We had to use the regular bathrooms for all the other kids. But when Mrs. Bissett would make her beeline to the bathroom, that's when Ricky and I would do our show. Now, we could tell when she was going in, when she was coming out, because she'd flip the light on and a fan would go on. We could hear the fan. Ricky and I would start doing our class clowning and cutting up, having so much fun. As soon as we heard the fan go off, back in our seats. Now, sometimes we just did it for fun to entertain our classmates. Sometimes we played special little tricks on Bitty Batty Bissett. Like we'd take her desk drawers and we'd switch them around. Now, this was kind of the long game because it'd take sometimes a couple of hours before she'd finally open a drawer and see that it was in the wrong place and have a fit. Who did this? Well, invariably, Tattletale Cindy would tell on us. It was either Ricky or myself, had to be. And Mrs. Bitt would come around with her red rubber hose. Now, she was older woman, and it was kind of hard for her to really bend way down. So what she would do is she'd lean her elbow on the desk and look right in our face, and with that red rubber hose, she'd whip it under the desk. Now, Ricky and I were experts at being hit with the red rubber hose, and we knew the trick. See, that desk had a single pole that came up, and if you positioned your legs just right, the brunt of that hose went against that metal pole. But she didn't know that. We didn't let her know that. We squealed like pigs. Ow, ow, ow. And when she heard a sufficient number of ows, she was satisfied. She went back to her seat. One day, Mrs. Bissett made her beeline to the bathroom. Ricky got up and he put something special under her little cushion on her seat. Mrs. Bissett came back in. We were in our seats. She sat down and let out the biggest roar and thunder you'd ever heard. It was the funniest thing in the world to everyone except to Mrs. Bissett. She was mad. You could tell because her face was beet red. First thing she did was looked at Cindy. Cindy, who did that? Cindy looked away. She knew if she tattled, she'd be in big trouble from Ricky and I. And then she came to me. She knew it was either me or Ricky. Eddie, did you do this? She was holding that whoopee cushion. No, Mrs. Bissett, I didn't do it. Who did it? There's no way I'm going to tattle on Ricky. I don't know, Mrs. Bissett. Well, she knew that was a lie. And of course, here came the red rubber hose. And she went to whack me on the legs, but I had a little trick up my sleeve. I looked straight ahead. Didn't bat an eye, didn't flinch, didn't even let out a squeal. And this infuriated Mrs. Bissett because she got no reaction from me every time she'd hit I would just remain motionless. Well, when she was sufficiently satisfied with me, then it was time for Ricky. And Ricky was going to get even worse than me. She went over to Ricky and she started whipping Ricky with that red rubber hose. Now, Ricky had a trick up his sleeve that beat them all. He started to hum a little tune. And then he started to whistle this tune. We all knew the tune, and it was so infuriating Mrs. Bissett, she started hitting as hard as she could. And then he started to sing it. Who's afraid of the bitty batty wolf, the bitty batty wolf, the bitty batty wolf? She could not stand that. She hit Ricky so hard that her red rubber hose broke. And that was the end of Mrs. Bissett's red rubber hose. Now, as I grew older, I always thought that she was the meanest teacher I ever had. But when I look back, actually, I learned a lot of great things from Mrs. Bissett. And one of the things that she taught me that stuck with me to this day, there's something that you didn't do in private school. You didn't write with your left hand. And if you did, the teacher whacked you with the ruler. I got whacked so many times that I quit writing with my left hand, started writing with my right hand. To this day, I write with my right hand. Am I upset with Mrs. Bissett? No, because it's a right-hand world. She actually did me a favor. So I actually have an impact from even mean old bitty batty Bissett. I hope whatever mean teacher you had, they had an impact on you as well.